Hey, where's my gavel? I could bring my croquet. I got no one right at the lunch. Okay.
These are really nice.
We started before. I think we gotta go and it's a good. You know. Couple minutes. Meeting called to order, 6 o'clock. November 6, 2023. We'll need a pledge of allegiance. Chair Hernandez.
Let's all rise. Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Hernandez. Get roll call, please.
Yes, Commissioner Arvizo, Commissioner Murillo, Commissioner Ramirez,
Present.
alternate Commissioner Fonseca, Vice Chair Hernandez.
Yes, sir. Here,
And Chair Gonzalez.
Present. Going on to the next item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. At this time, the committee may announce any item being pulled from the agenda or continue to another date or request the moving of any item on the agenda.
We're all good, right, Gabe?
Yeah, no recommendations.
Recommendation, okay, good. Approval of the minutes, regular meeting.
Do you want to ask for a motion to approve?
Yes, can I get a motion to approve?
Sure, I'd like to motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Who is the second?
Diana.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Okay,
Get a roll call.
Commissioner Arvizo,
Yes.
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
alternate, Vice Chair Hernandez
Yes, sir.
and Chair Gonzalez.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Going on to the next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes. Regular meeting minutes of June 8th, 2023 of the Coachella Economic Development Planning Subcommittee. This is June 8th.
I'd like to motion
Just-
to approve the minutes for October 18th, 2023.
Is there a correction here? Because we have June 8th is it date on the,
The one online is October 18.
Mine too.
Was there another one?
You have a printout?
you know what? They gave me the wrong.
Says June.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, they gave me the wrong. This is the heck, this is from,
Yeah, this is.
this is the wrong one.
Oh, we're good. We're good with the motion, right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, because the one that's actually available to the public and.
it's the correct one. Yeah,
All right, so I'd like to approve the minutes for planning commission meeting on October 18th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arvizo,
Yes.
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
yes,
Vice Chair Hernandez,
Yes, sir.
and Chair Gonzalez.
Yes.
You wanna-
Okay, and the,
iPad, bro?
yeah, written communication.
No written communications from staff.
Okay, going on to next item, public comments, non-agenda items. The public may address the commission on any item of interest to the public that is not on the agenda, but is it within the subject matter jurisdiction of with thereof. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any public comments?
Chair,
No comments online.
Waiting on Zoom.
Okay, closing the public comments. Going on to reports and requests.
No reports and requests from staff.
Okay. Going on to the next item on the agenda, non-hearing items. 2, pre-approved ADU plans review of draft accessory dwelling units, ADUs, plans for the purpose of establishing pre-approved plans available to the for the public use to reduce costs and streamline the review of the process for the development of an accessory dwelling unit to increase the housing supply in the city of Coachella. Applicants, city initiated.
You ready for presentation?
Yes,
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you, Chair,
Go ahead.
the Planning Commission. This item before you is something we're excited to present to the Planning Commission. It is a city initiated effort. Some background on this, in 2023, the city secured design services from RM Design Group for the development of accessory dwelling unit architectural plans. What this does would be available for the public to be able to construct ADUs on their property. So if you're not familiar with accessory dwelling unit, basically it's the second unit in addition to your primary unit. And so sometimes it's an attractive plan that's pursued by residents because it's a cheaper alternative to housing. But it's also a way to supplement income for primary residential owners. But kind of considering how prices have increased over time in the last few years too, now ADUs can be kind of expensive to construct. So the purpose of this was to be able to create plans because the design services are often very expensive, right? So if you can cut out the design service cost and allow residents to be able to use their money to pay for construction, then it makes it easier for these ADUs to be constructed. So that was the purpose of this. So what we would need to do is establish what those ADU plans would look like that could be used by the public. Now, staff released an RFP, and our recommendation was that it address detached ADUs because we believe that's what's typically done. It's very difficult to do that for a converted ADU, and I'll go into what that is in a little bit. And then also pursued a conversion of a garage, since we do allow that for ADUs. So in order to provide a good parameters for design for the public, just to make sure that that looks good when it's completed. Just going back, so there were 5 plans that are proposed as detached dwelling units in the plan set provided in your staff report, and then one that's a converted garage prototype. So the ADU plan size range is from 480 square feet to 1,000 square feet, with the converted garage being kind of a typical size, and it could be actually be customized. But it would be for a 2-car garage. That would be 400 square feet. This image on this slide is just gives you an idea how other cities and jurisdictions have implemented this. This is not the first time city has done this. There's other cities have done this in order to increase housing production in their city. So this is San Diego County. So they have a website and they made pre-approved plans available for the public. And so they have an easy, streamlined website. We would want to try to do something like this when we approve these plans and make them available for the public, but you can see the links that are provided that allow people to download the plans, which also include a CAD file. So that allows someone's designer to be able to pull that CAD file, customize it for property owner's lot, and be able to submit that to the city. In the Coachella Valley, the only other city that I'm aware of that has pre-approved plans available is Desert Hot Springs. And so their designs are pretty attractive. And this is the website that they have. So the different housing types they make available for the public, very similar to what San Diego County does, but it's really easy to follow. It's pretty streamlined and something that we thought was a good example as well. So going to what we actually did here for the city of Coachella, you know, what we wanted to keep in mind was cost. When I looked at the Desert Hot Springs example, some of the prototypes looked pretty costly, and I think what we're trying to achieve is quality design, but at the same time affordability in the construction of these units. So these are the different floor types for the detached units. So again, I mentioned the size range is 480 square feet to 1,000. Under state law, ADUs could be constructed as detached units up to 1,200 square feet. In this case, we capped it for this design at 1,000 square feet, which you could actually fit 3 bedrooms with a 1,000 square foot prototype. But we'll go into each of those plans after this slide. So plan 1 is a 1-bedroom unit, 480 square feet with 1 bath, living room combined with a kitchen and also the dining combined. But it's a simple structure with the main entrance, simple kitchen. In terms of the architectural elevations, there were 3 architectural elevations that are common through all the plans that were prepared. And so what the architect did was look at the different architectural styles in the city. And most of them are kind of like the red tile roof and Spanish colonial design. We do have some that are modern. If you're familiar with kind of like those homes that look like Santa Fe homes off of Avenue 49, that's an example of kind of a more modern design. So, and we anticipate we would get more modern design in the future. So just the recent Sevilla 2 has a modern design plan type. So, so this is what the elevations would look like for that plan 1. We thought it's pretty attractive. What the designer did also include is a patio in the front. Obviously, we know what the weather conditions are like, and so sometimes it's good to have a patio to be sheltered and be able to go outside during the heat. So looking at the first elevation, so the Mission Revival, here's the floor plan again. each floor plan is slightly different for each of the different elevations. This one, you could see what it would look like, and there's a perspective rendering. But red tile roof and patio structure, but very simple design. 2 windows in the front, and the main entrance is covered. For the plan 1, but the desert modern design, this is what the structure would look like. It still does have a sloping roof, and I'll go into that a little bit because one of my recommendations is maybe be more of a flat roof. You know, I'll want to get planning commission comments on that. But this would also include a patio in the front, covered entryway. The next design would be a Spanish colonial design. And this would also have a front patio, but designed a little bit different than the Spanish design, the first one I showed you. But also red tile roof, and more of the windows that have that feature that's called divided lights. It's common with the architectural design, but a little bit more ornate than the first one. If you look at the design, you might not be able to see the plate height. The plate height, which would be kind of like your ceiling height, is 8 feet 1 inch. So we thought that makes sense, and it still makes it affordable, instead of trying to achieve something that's high ceilings, which is a little bit more expensive to do. The plan 2, so this design is 504 square feet. This would also be a detached unit. This is a little bit more of a linear design, narrow design, but we have to also think about the backyards for people's homes. And so what would actually fit? And so this would allow for something to fit in a more, in a smaller setback rear yard or potentially a side yard. And these are the 3 different elevation types again: the Mission Revival, Desert Modern, and the Spanish Colonial. Sorry, let me go back to the floor plan. So with this floor plan, it's 774 square feet, but it also accommodates 3 bedrooms with this design. So I didn't think that could be achieved with the 774 square foot design, but it also includes the kitchen area combined with the living room and dining room. So the first one is the Mission Revival. Again, this is more of the linear design, but it still has a front patio, and the red tile roof, 3 windows in the front and a covered entryway. The Desert Modern Designs has a slope roof design, but it's a little more streamlined in the way the structure is designed. And then last is the Spanish Colonial Revival design, which is a little bit more ornate in terms of the patio and the windows. The plan 4 is shown here, and this is similar to the original box design, but this is a little bit larger, 106 square feet, and it's a detached unit as well. This one has 2 bedrooms. It has a kitchen combined with a living room, a bathroom, and the washer and dryer and a closet. This one has a bedroom with a walk-in closet option. Some of the other designs were just kind of like were not walk-in closets. It's a sliding door option. These are the 3 design types that we've talked about, but pretty attractive. In this one, you can see with the plan 4, it does include a Desert Modern design with more of the flat roof. In my opinion, I thought the flat roof is a little bit more attractive for the Desert Modern design. So we'll want to get your feedback there. So here's the plan 4 for the Mission Revival design. And again, it has a covered patio entrance, and it has the gable roof design in the front, red tile roof. The plan 4 for the Desert Modern, that streamlined look that I mentioned, that's more of a flat roof design than the previous plans. And then the last one for the Plan 4 is the Spanish Colonial. And so it has the gable roof, but then the patio is a little bit different than the first design. So I thought it was a little bit awkward in terms of how the gable roof of the overall building interfaces with the canopy. So we'll go into that at the end, but I wanted to get Planning Commission's thoughts on maybe how that could be improved on this design. But this would be actually the more ornate design with the way that the patio is designed and railing and the windows. The Plan 5, and so this is the 1,000 square foot unit. And so this is a 3-bedroom unit. This would have no walk-in closets like one of the previous designs, but it does have a large living room area and a kitchen with a bar, and then the washer and dryer would be in a closet, and but it would have 2 bathrooms in this design. So these are the 3 different elevation plans. Again, with the Desert Modern design, it has a flat roof design with this one. This is more of a narrow design project, so that way, considering it's 1,000 square feet, that way it fits in the backyard. The Mission Revival design has a lot of variation in the way that the roof is designed, so it's pretty attractive in the way that they've accommodated that. But this also has a small patio and a covered entry. With the modern design, so a little bit more streamlined, but also a little bit of variation in the roof design. And the last is the Spanish Colonial. So again, attractive design, not as much variation in the roof design as the original Spanish architecture, but it does have a lot of design features with the railing and the post for the patio. This actually has a bigger patio than the other 2 elevations. So the last one is the Plan 6. I don't have a colored elevation to show you, but what this is for the garage conversion. So the assumption is that that garage for a 2-car garage would be about 400 square feet. Not everyone's 2-car garage is exactly 400 square feet. So the design for this would need to be customized for each person's garage, but this would be the typical design, right? How do you make a garage conversion work? In this design, they proposed the entrance at the front. So typically what would be the front garage door, you would have a door that looks like this and then 2 windows. This is a little bit more attractive than the typical designs that we've seen come in. Sometimes they're very they're not as attractive, and it's kind of hard to do that with the garage sometimes. So this was the designer's attempt to improve on some of the design that we can get for a converted garage. The floor plan, this is for 1 bedroom. It's really what you can fit in a converted garage of this size. And then there's the kitchen and living room together, and then the bathroom's connected to the bedroom. With a converted garage, there cannot be a connection between the main part of the home and the garage. It has to be a separate entrance. And these are the 3 different elevation types. So the first one would be the Spanish, second is the modern design, and the last would be that Spanish Colonial. But kind of the Spanish Colonial and the Spanish architecture look pretty similar already. So in terms of some of the design revisions, I actually think what the architect prepared is good design. I would be a little bit apprehensive of kind of increasing like the architectural features too much, just to make sure that it's affordable for someone. And that's the purpose of this, right? To allow someone to want to use these plans and to also increase housing in the city of Coachella. But for the modern design, I kind of thought that maybe the slope design isn't the best look for a modern designed unit. But I did like the features where it was more of a flat roof. But I'm not absolutely opposed to this, and so I want to present that before the planning commission. I'm going to go into the other suggestions. The other, I thought maybe, do we want to have the patios as an option? Or do we want to make sure it's as integral part of the design? Some of the ADU designs that we see don't include like a covered structure. And so that's a question for the planning commission. And then with this design right here, it looked like these two plans, the plan 3 Mission Revival and the plan 4 Mission Revival, it looked like the patio was kind of narrow. So it doesn't, to me, it felt like it didn't really allow for people to gather outside. And then it has that post at the entrance that kind of blocks you. But again, what would be the alternative? It does make it look good in the sense where you do have the arches like in the front. And then, sorry. IT, can I get some help, please? Sorry about that. Went ahead too far. I think it's maybe like the fourth to the last slide. Should I give this? Okay, I'll speed up. Thank you. So on this plan, I mentioned this earlier, I just thought maybe where the gable roof and the canopy, it's not a bad design at all, but I thought there was something that could be included. Maybe it's some kind of tile features in that blank area. I don't know. Need something to me. I felt that it did, but
With foam and stuff.
yeah, and it could be foam. Mhm.
Gives it a little more
We've
character.
seen like those terracotta like cylinders that
Yeah.
get added. So, and then the last was to include the patio structures that I mentioned as a design option rather than a requirement. But then again, these would be CAD files, so a designer could remove it from the design, but do we want to provide that up front? So, but that's it. So really the purpose of this is to present this first to the planning commission. We're not asking for your approval today, because what I want to do is get back to the architect and allow them to kind of finalize the design before it's brought back to the planning commission. And you will be the body that approves these designs. And then once that's done, they will work on all the finalized plans. So like the plumbing plans, the structural floor plans, the roof plans, everything that's going to be required for an actual submittal to the city. So your input on here is going to be helpful. I gave you some questions that I have where I want you to weigh in, but there may be other things that you might request.
So I have a couple of comments and questions. So congratulations to staff, right? Obviously, this is quite an achievement and we are on the right path here. So kudos to you and your staff for having the vision to go down this road. Secondly, a question would be, one is, what does the fee schedule look like, right, for turning the CAD file over to the owner applicant at that point and whomever is gonna do their drafting, right? And then and my thoughts on the patio would be to have it included. And third, well, maybe the fourth last thing would be if the structure portion of the engineering of all the houses, if they were to be calc'd specifically to match existing tile work, right? So if we wanted to match existing roof tile that's on the property, right? That would be an option versus having to do red tile roofs, et cetera, right? So if we can include that in the structural calculation, that's pretty much it.
So are they providing also the structural calc for the trusses, or is it conventional, or is there trusses?
Yeah, they're supposed to provide all of that. Like, it's gonna be a complete set of plans
Okay,
for all of this. And I think, Commissioner or Vice Chair Hernandez, you brought up, the fee. So the plans that we provide to the public, like the CAD files, those would be free of charge.
Oh, wow.
So,
so the other question is too, so what is, on the solar panels? Do these need to have solar panels? or-
Yeah.
do they? Yeah, I actually don't know that. Wanna come on?
And then also you have sprinklers, so this is a new code, so does that apply to these ADUs also?
Yes, both the solar panels, energy storage will be required.
So
of
we
the
need to
detached.
we need to have clarity on that because, you know, they're gonna take on a substantial, you know, cost on that. I think what we ought to do too is provide a general idea of what the cost is gonna be, the bottom line, to actually build these ADUs, at least a general idea from the architect based on market value.
Well, with that, it's also one of the recommendations was to make it a flat roof, right? It's and considering the solar panel aspect of it, it's a lot easier for them when it's already sloped because then they would have to angle it and then the solar panels would likely be more expensive when they install them as well. So going back to the point of having an estimated cost, which we know is a little difficult because construction materials really do tend to change, go up and down over time.
But
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's our like job to, get the applicant to do their, actually do the homework on what it actually costs to.
That's just a general idea. I'm not saying it's gonna be specific, but at least they have an idea when they're taking on.
Yeah,
No.
but that's all, I think that's, when you go down this road, you're gonna do, you're gonna wanna hire a contractor, you're gonna ask them for a bid, right? So like I think we can give them the introduction, like, okay, this is gonna help you move your development that much quicker, faster, right? You can get it through some bureaucracy, but as far as us giving them numbers, that can be misleading on our end, right? Then we'll have like, oh yeah, well, the city, you told me it's $20,000, this guy's charging me 35, why can't I build it? I don't know if I wanna do that.
Yeah,
But the city
I'm just
is
saying-
fine with this, you know what I mean?
No, it's not the city responsibility. You know, it's the owner to actually do the final say so on who their selected contractor is gonna be. But I think it gives them a general idea of what it's gonna cost to build one of these, one bedroom, two bedroom, and then you have different elevations, so obviously the cost is gonna be
Right,
different. You have-
significantly different, yeah.
you have a hip roof, you have a gable roof, you have a
Right.
flat roof. So those are substantially different costs. So I think just a general idea of what each one of these.
For one, like these roof lines, right, obviously they can be achieved with traditional framing.
Conventional like.
Yeah, conventional framing, right? So
Yeah.
so there's no like truss that has to be, manufactured. It's just one ridge.
Well, sometimes it's
hang
cheaper to do,
rafters, right?
sometimes it's cheaper to just order the trusses, you have the calcs instead of doing the conventional.
So I have a question just for clarification. Thank you so much for your report. And I'm glad that we're moving in this direction to streamline the process. I know a lot of people in the community are interested in building an ADU or a granny house or even considering tiny homes. So I have a question for that. So I understand we have these plans. Are tiny homes still considered as a streamlined option? Like those pre-built manufactured tiny homes that certain big stores and other companies are selling? I mean, is that part of the streamlined process along with these ADU plans that we have in place? Just curious.
When we adopted the building code, recently, we had to re-adopt it,
Uh-huh.
and, tiny homes was in that,
Provision?
adoption, yeah.
Okay,
So we
fantastic.
do have provisions for tiny homes. And then going back to the sprinkler question, if the existing home has sprinklers, then the garage conversions and the additions will also have sprinklers.
Okay, so
If they don't, then we
if
will.
it's a detached ADU, the sprinklers apply to it and also the solar panels. Is that
If,
correct?
if the main dwelling unit has.
Is there
sprinklers.
a certain square footage that exempts the sprinklers and also the solar panels? Or it applies to a tiny home also?
The tiny homes that are pre-manufactured would not require the solar.
Okay, so that's like, is that 500 feet and under?
That's just.
In general.
factored.
In
Yeah.
general?
Yes.
So it could be up to 1,000 square feet?
Right.
Okay,
I have an
So what if you
addition.
decided to put like a mobile home in the backyard?
Then you would not require both the solar or the sprinklers.
Sprinklers.
Unless
But anything- so anything
the modular buildings come with.
manufactured does not require
sprinklers
either
and solar.
sprinklers nor fire.
Yeah, but the pre-manufactured usually come with sprinklers already in the home. The manufactured homes.
In
come
terms
with
of like for the fire,
Correct,
yeah.
Correct.
yeah.
That's the solar and electrical storage it would not be required on a pre-manufactured.
But that's if it's a new unit. If it's the city, as long as it was built before 85, it's still, is that correct? Or you
Yeah,
just-
if the main dwelling does not have sprinklers, then the ADU will not be required to have sprinklers.
Okay,
I have another question. It's not about the building, but it's more for the director. You presented an option. You said, oh, the patio would be an option or certain design standard, like the little fence. I mean, could those be optional because those can add costs to the house, to the ADU? And then the other thing, I understand that we have fixtures that are part of the ADU. Could there be look-alike fixtures and not necessarily that style? Or what if that style goes, gets expired and new style comes in? I mean, as long as it's within that facade, then it's okay for a constituent, right? As someone from City of Coachella to build their ADU, as long as they follow that design. Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah, I think so. I
Because I
think
thought
what
gutters
this
were-
gives everyone is a basis to start with.
Okay,
And so they're gonna have CAD files that they can get from free from the city, but their designer is gonna have to situate, provide a site plan. Everyone's parcel different, show where it's gonna go. But also those plans can be kind of slightly modified. So what you're talking about are kind of like the more like gingerbread parts of the home
Correct.
that are not
Correct.
structural.
the cosmetic,
right?
yeah. Like that little rail, I'm not a fan of it, but that's just my personal opinion, but maybe
Yeah.
someone else will like it,
So it'd be easy to have someone else customize it however they
Correct.
want.
Okay, so those are options, and that's because I saw one of your recommendations is, to make those options, correct?
Yeah, so someone came in with a different design with the railing or something
Okay.
like that, we wouldn't deny it.
Understood.
So the recommendation that you're looking for is it's based upon this here? Or are you looking, if we say patios, is that patios for all ADUs that for whomever wants to put an ADU?
No, just for these
These
prototypes.
plans.
Oh, yeah,
So-
well, it's, but still, it's an option regardless, right? Because if you're saying that, hey, we'll hand this over for free. This not necessarily means that you have to build it,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's with the patio or not, so I guess it is an option, right? But I think if we're looking to, if we're looking to put forward a product, like the city is looking to put forward a product, I think we should put forward the best product, you know what I mean? Like, if this is something that we're wanting to do for our communities, like, we might as well give them the best. Like, hey, put the patio in.
I
You
think
know,
the only
ultimately-
issue with that though is cost. Going back to it, it's the fact that when we're considering who needs access to these plans and who would benefit the most from having these plans, those are the families that may only be building an ADU to be able to have extra income, right? And so considering the medium cost of or the average income from a household here, which is what I think like 33,000.
yeah,
Something around there.
yeah,
We really
Average.
do need to make sure that we're also providing options for different budgets.
yeah.
No, I totally agree. That there is options, right? So that's why we have options, to fit everybody's needs. But from a city perspective, like, we can't half bake a cake. Like, we have to put forward the best cake that we possibly can,
Mhm.
right? And that's literally where should we be going, right? And so, yeah, I totally understand that we have a very diverse community. But that doesn't mean from the city's perspective that we shouldn't give them the best that we can. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, so if we're gonna design something, like, let's design the best that we possibly can. Now, if they can't construct it, then they should be able to construct something that they can, right? So, like, yeah, should we have a variety? Yeah, certainly. Should it be optional? Maybe, right? But from what aesthetically pleasing, like, we shouldn't just allow a cookie cutter design or cookie cutter construction or cookie cutter facade just because, oh yeah, like, economics are X, right? Like, we're not asking that from our developers. we're asking the best from our developers. Like, we really are asking the best from our developers. Like, hey, man, if you're pricing something at 450, it's like, give us something at 450 that people will be proud of. That's why even that's why I was asking for that ridge going across that header, right? That tie-in on a two-story building, on a two-story plant, to make it easy for patios, and it's still not there. They did it on, I forgot what project they did it on, but that's one of the first things I asked for, is like, hey, do we need these houses, these two-story houses, they need to come already with that tie-in on that back ridge, right, on that top plate, the back, at least, so you can tie in, so they just promote patios, right? If you put that in, that's half your battle construction, right? And so we need to have that forward thinking, like, hey, it's like, what's ultimately gonna encourage an ADU? If we put a best product forward of an ADU.
And I think that's what that's what the staff is trying to do with having different, floor plans and aesthetics. I think we're there, and I appreciate that we're gonna, they're getting comments for them to go back with the designer, make those little modifications, and then come back again with this topic. Is that what I'm gathering, Director?
Correct.
Okay.
And,
So I appreciate that.
I guess just thinking about the designs, I mean, some of them are pretty good, right? Like,
Yeah,
like they could just be,
they're
they could be
great.
like just the primary home.
Yeah, no, this is great.
So, the part of my thinking on this, and why I'm asking the question to you, is they did a really good job. I understand the patio can be a little bit more expensive, it's gonna add a few more $1,000s to the construction of the home. So does it prevent someone from using this versus going with some other design? Considering that it's gonna be in the back of the home, right?
Correct.
And so that's kind of where my struggle is, and that's kind of why,
It's like a 50-50 here.
Well,
there.
is it possible for, there's amazing options in here, right? For at least one of the options, one of the styles. To have a non-patio option, because then folks may be able to opt with that one.
Correct.
I'm looking at, when you're looking at an architect that could go ahead and draw out these plans, it may be easier to just follow everything on here
A
that's
pattern.
existing, right? Yes. And so that's kind of like the perspective that we're coming from. Once you're there, they will charge you more for removing, adding. They may not, and from my understanding from what's been happening with the city, when people have been turning in, sometimes the plans get rejected because they're not to the T. So leading up to that, that was also going to ask, what's the rubric that the city is following to approve these plans? Because is it going to be now that we only want to see these?
No.
Or, right?
So what's happening is, this is the start point, right? And he's handing over the start point, which is like, it's already a baked cake, pretty much. These are approved construction documents.
I think this is a good start.
Yeah, and he's handing that over to the applicant. The applicant's gonna hire a draftsman or designer to tailor make it for suit their needs, to suit their land size or plot size, right? And then from there, well, you gotta go into construction, right? They're gonna do a 1-over plan check, I imagine. But you still gotta pay your designer, right? To do it. So what I'm saying is, one, you gotta look at the quality of living too. Like, yes, we have people, homeowners who have X amount of dollars that are gonna go into construction and become what do you want to call them? Go into the housing business. And should there be an obligation on their end, right? To have to treat somebody with dignity and give them a quality of living if you happen to live on their property, or what are we doing? Just constructing boxes in the backyard and have somebody move in and pay you $1,200, $1,500, $1,800, and they don't just get a box of shelter over their head? Like, how's that?
I think that that's a
having
little
inhumane-
separate from the outside versus the inside, and making sure that, and of course, they did an amazing job with making sure that everything was covered and making sure that they also used the most square footage. And I really appreciate that there's options, right? It could be up to 3 bedrooms. There could be, the bedroom could be bigger. So that's amazing. And I think it really does allow room for flexibility. But it's being able to start at, if it's possible for us, and going back to the staff's recommendation for having a patio or not, if it's possible to just offer a variety, right? And it goes back to the same thing. Well, when the city is approving these plans or not, for example, the garage conversions, I've heard that people have had struggles with the type of windows that they're using, where they're placing the door, right? The type of door that they're using. And so those are the kind of things that we think about when we're gonna get into the specifics of the design and the exterior. It makes sense. I understand when it's in the front. Completely makes sense. It adds to the beautification of the city, right? We completely understand that. But we do need to consider being able to start kind of a base model, right? Whenever we have homes and there's new developments, you have your base model, your more luxurious ones. So making sure that as the city that we're also keeping that in mind.
Yeah, and so part of keeping that in mind is being a good neighbor, right? So you also too, part of your fiduciary responsibility or your social contract would be to be a good neighbor, right? And so how do we make sure we keep our neighbors happy? Right? Because they ultimately, there's this proper harmony that, we got to keep.
And I think that gets into when we've had some discussions about the Airbnb situation, right? We kind of slightly discussed it, so it gets more into that. But I think with specifically today, we are just reviewing the look and right approving these plans. But I think that'll be, and definitely we should expand on that because there's going to be concerns. And one thing that off the top of my head right away is, well, parking, right? But like at least right now, the only thing we are discussing though is just the designs, right?
Yeah, if you have, so ADUs, you have questions about parking.
Yeah.
If you convert an ADU, right, obviously you're not gonna have covered parking anymore, so it all becomes driveway parking. So parking becomes exempt when you're half a mile away from public transit. So a lot of ADUs end up being exempt from.
I think this is a good
I believe
start.
it's in
We
the
have,
ordinance, correct? It talks about parking. That's why I saw that. the last- okay.
Question, will there be restrictions for, say, a homeowner comes in and they want like the 1,000 unit plan, but their available space is only like 1,300? Will there be like saying like you can't have this like set in stone? Like they have to stick to a certain plan that will accommodate the land they have available?
Yeah, so basically what we try to do is a diversity that we think could fit in the backyard, right?
Mhm.
So if it's a smaller lot, obviously they're gonna have to look for the smaller size
Okay.
unit, right? Either go with the box or the rectangle. But they also have to satisfy some of the setback requirements. So there are reduced setback requirements allowed by the state for ADUs. Our ADU ordinance still, we need to update it. Because right now it said you can only have an 800 square foot maximum,
Yeah.
but the state allows you to do 1,200. But the setbacks are 4 feet from the rear property line and 4 feet from the side yard property line.
Okay,
So that's less than a typical home.
yeah, because the last thing we want is like for the designs to be, too cramped into a backyard and just look like LA,
are we
Isn't there
providing
something-
Title 24 also? Or is it-
Yeah, Title 24. Just to add one more thing, yeah, Title 24 will be provided. So the other thing that's gonna happen on some lots where maybe they just have like 15 feet in the back, then this might not work, right? Then they're just gonna have to go to design that is like a junior ADU, which carves out something from their existing home
Okay.
or a converted ADU. And so, so this is gonna really work where you do have the space to do it for a detached unit.
I think this is a good option. I mean, they have a bunch of different floor plans to pick from. It's not the end of the world. I mean, if people don't like these options, then obviously, they can get a draftsman or an architect to design something that's gonna accommodate,
These are nice.
their existing property,
It's a pretty penny to get someone to design this.
Yeah, no, it is.
100%. I have another question for you. By any chance that the consulting group that, RM design group, did they ever add any of those calculations or those fees, like how much it would cost for one of the plans or two? I mean, I know we don't want to put the liability on us, but just like a rough estimate.
What construction cost would it be?
We-
Just to
we
build
can-
one of these, like if we pick that design, like how much, like
Probably $45,000.
roughly?
Probably
Because I've
50.
seen about
Yeah.
like
For the smallest,
75 to
yeah.
100, but that's what I was looking at.
That's
The
on the
smaller the smaller designs,
Okay.
maybe going towards the medium, but the the larger one, it's probably gonna be.
It's pricey.
So, yeah, I figured. I have a question. And so as far as like plumbing and piping and all of that, I mean, that would be metered or would it be a half metered?
All these would
Lot.
be metered.
Mhm.
So they would be separate, right? I just want to be clear about that.
And
Did-
you could also sell it to like whomever too.
Yeah, for a
That's what I thought.
converted
Yeah.
garage, it doesn't have to be on a separate meter. Actually,
Mhm.
it could be on the same meter as the primary home.
Correct. Okay.
But when it's detached, it has to be on a
That's
separate
what I
meter.
thought. Okay, just want to be clear about that one.
Yeah.
For the garage conversion, there's the option where the door is in the front. Will they have an option where they can use a side door that comes already with the garage as their main entrance, or will it have to be exactly like your main entrance has to be in the front?
Yeah, so that would be good to get some feedback from the planning commission, because that was kind of my initial recommendation to the designer
Mhm.
is on the side, because actually I'm not a big fan of
The front door.
the front.
We should give them an option, you know.
Yeah.
I agree.
And going back to Commissioner Hernandez, when it comes to like, well, seeing the
Step.
style and outside of it, I think that that's kind of where we could definitely have that discussion, right? Do we want to see it on the side? We wanted to make it seem like it was already that way, right? Like if that, it was intentional, because we have seen some like two-story homes where you'll notice that the garage is tilted and then the windows are in the front, and it definitely looks more like it was built that way.
Well, I think it's also more cost efficient because it already has the door, so they wouldn't have
Service
to.
door.
So
bring in that other door.
we could have them look at that. If that's a preference for the planning commission, you think that looks better, I guess what I would want feedback on is what would you prefer on that front elevation? Is it just like a window, right? You want to see there, and versus just having like a blank wall.
Is there a
A blank
reason-
wall is probably not what we want.
Well, adding to that, is there a reason why, because again, hearing from feedback from neighbors and everything, they were told that currently there's a requirement of having 2 windows. Is that something that is up for discussion? And this is when I asked about the rubric, kind of like, well, how are they approving the plans that people are currently turning in? Is there any existing requirement? And with this, having this, of course, we know it's just a blueprint, it's an option. Is that going to change?
There's probably some building on, I'll talk about the
Mhm.
planning real quick. When we review it, what in planning, we want to make sure it's just not some like stucco blank wall. If they put in a window that it kind of matches the existing home.
Mhm.
So sometimes we'll see cases where they put something that does not match anything with the home at all. So they'll get comments like that, but then I know they get comments from building on access and safety.
When it comes to the window sizing for the home, it's based on
Square footage.
natural light and ventilation. So it's 8% natural light. And then half your window usually opens is 4% natural ventilation. Going really back quick to the metering question. The state does allow them to use the existing panel. It's an option to the property owner if they want to bring in a separate meter. What we do is run electrical calculations to verify that they're not overloading the panel.
Understood.
Typically, they run a sub panel to the back unit.
Thank you.
So in a normal house, it's about 200 amps. If you build an ADU, you know, probably under 1,000 square feet, it would probably be 100 amps. Yeah?
It'd be 200 amps.
Yes.
No, on a smaller. just
Well,
on
the utility is not gonna serve anything less than 200 amps. But
a 400 square foot.
yeah,
ADU?
no, yeah, it's a class 200 meter, so they're gonna give you a 200 amp meter. You gotta put in
Oversight?
a 200 amp board. You can put your breakers to 100 amps. You can size the breaker unit, but the utility is not gonna serve anything less than 200 amps.
On a,
Yeah, the new requirement for the state is 225 amps minimum
Okay.
for a new meter.
okay, even if it's under 500 square feet?
Yeah, it's 225. You have surge protection now, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's extensive revisions in the electrical this last code cycle.
Normally on a 1,500 square foot, you know,
You can calc it out.
it was
yeah.
1,000 square feet. I mean, 100 amps.
Yeah, so you could always calc it out to be lower,
Yeah.
but now the state came and said, we need 225 amps.
Okay.
And so they're preparing for future
Okay.
loads, solar, going full electric overall.
So that's the thing, right? That that crossover switch leaves a 200 amp panel, dude. So you gotta have, if you can do solar, right, you still gotta run all that, then
Was gonna be solar
Yeah, regardless.
certified, yeah, the
Yeah.
panel,
Um,
Yeah,
connect.
it's solar ready.
solar ready, yeah, to connect.
I do have a question about the boiler. Majority of homes do have the boiler either in the garage and, well, I think newer homes tend to have them in the garage, right? How does that work and is that included in the garage conversion plan?
Like
So
Where-
water heater or?
That boiler, so you have to kind of, you would have to turn it, right? You would have to have an access door
On the
to it.
outside,
From,
Yeah,
so you have an extra door.
there are a couple options. You have to bring in a combustion air. There's a calculation for that depending on the BTUs of the water heater. And then those doors have to be sealed if they stay in the dwelling area. They're not allowed, they're even allowed in bedrooms, but there's a certain criteria that meet to be able to make that in a safe manner.
Okay, and is any for the existing one, or would it even be possible to have options for how they would block, like either block it off or open it outside or anything? As specifically just for the garage conversions?
Yeah, we see a lot of closets, water heater closets, like a
Mhm.
niche that comes in for them to relocate them to the outside. We see a lot of those currently.
So it's something that is allowed though.
Yeah, I think it's a cheaper alternative to be able to just relocate and extend plumbing over to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. Diaz.
Is the Plan 6 available in the PDF?
Yes.
In,
Uh-huh.
why can't I locate it?
It,
In
it,
our packet.
it should be in your packet. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's separate from everything else, but
Keep going down.
yeah.
So, Director, did we answer, because you asked us questions, did we touch those topics by any chance? I want to make sure
Yeah, let's,
we provide you that feedback that's necessary as you go back to the architect.
yeah, thank you. If we could go back to each of them and just kind of get some of your direction. So this one, I heard some of you like the flat roof, but then I heard another comment about, well, maybe this allows for more like
For the. solar
accommodation of solar. I don't have big objections to this, but so just want to get your feedback on it.
I personally like either A, the option, or have it slanted, but that's just my opinion, but I mean, it's up to the commission, the team. Yeah.
Seems like
Do we
your
want to
room's
have an
okay.
option for the applicant to have either flat?
I
or-
think, yeah, or I mean, the other options do at least. It does have the slope, right? So
Yeah.
there's that if that's something they're considering, if they know they're gonna have to add in solar panels,
That's
there's yeah, so it's really.
Yeah, to the applicant,
Mhm.
so,
Well, it doesn't really make a difference, right?
yeah.
In like the solar,
No, it doesn't, because
for solar. it's-
You'll build it on that.
The manufacturer comes and looks at your roof, it's like, okay, this is how we're installing solar.
So it doesn't matter what.
Doesn't matter.
It's just different,
It
yeah,
does
it's
not
different,
matter.
installation's a little
It does
different,
not
that's it.
matter.
The
Mhm.
thing is,
Even-
there's a cost difference, let me tell you
Mhm.
that much.
In what?
So,
And how are you building that versus?
And also it's more secure from what I understand, it's more secure if it's slanted because of the way the wind comes.
and flat roofs have
Yeah.
more maintenance versus slanted loads. from my
Yeah.
understanding.
And I think
I
that-
did my research for this,
Mhm.
I don't know.
The
According to
flat roofs have one.
allegedly, more maintenance
Mhm.
than slanted. That's what I read.
Because
as I
water
read
could
this.
get, I mean,
Maybe
that's
we
what
should
we
have the
understand, and
building.
water could get stuck, and it's like, that's why slope is
Yeah.
preferred, and people move
No,
more
so
towards
like
that.
Preference.
when they build a flat roof, they build it with a slope. So
So the
water
water
can
can-
drain.
Just-
It has
They
that
don't,
roof.
they don't build like, they don't build
Little
it
bit
like
flat,
level.
flat.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
No,
understand.
it has a slope.
It has a slope,
I
it has to have roof
understand.
drains, it is a flat roof.
But according to what I researched and read,
Mhm.
that's what. So the literature indicated, the research.
Like in Mexico.
I love it. But we can ask the
okay.
professionals here, I don't
Mhm.
know, so.
I mean, sometimes it's designed that way, but over time, sometimes it also settles in a different way.
It settles, I mean, the house
How that
moves.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's typical on commercial roofs, because you have the parapet wall and you have the flat roof. You gotta have the roof drains. You gotta make sure it tapers into the
Yeah.
roof drains.
Well, isn't like all these houses in La Quinta Cove, like all the Indian style homes, all flat roof?
Yeah.
Santa Fe style,
Santa Fe.
yeah.
Yeah, so those Santa Fe style roofs have a slope to drain the water
Yeah,
to
because
shed.
it
Yeah.
it
Have
has
roof
to.
drains.
Yeah.
Well,
Cricket.
100%, but there's still a little bit more maintenance, that's what I'm just
Mm,
saying.
I see.
For, so I'm just thinking for our community, the needs, you know, just trying to be,
Maybe we
It
can
sounds
let
like
them
flat
know.
roofs is not an option in Coachella.
it's an option, 100% it's an
Yeah.
option. We have a few homes like that,
Well,
Commissioner Hernandez.
If we were to change, I think it would have to be one or the other, because I
Oh,
checked with
I
the
see.
designer,
Oh.
they would do both.
Then I will opt for a slant. That's my opinion.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. How much money is left in this budget?
For this.
Revision?
There's not a lot left.
So
So,
what can we do with the budget that's left?
Excellent
Like, we're
question.
not gonna go back into redesign, obviously.
no,
No.
I think it's gonna be hard to do like additional options, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when I told the architect, I was like, you know what, maybe we might want to do an option without the patio,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? There's gonna be a cost to that, right? If I tell them we want 2 options for plan 1, 2, and 3 for the modern design,
Mm,
that's probably gonna be a cost that I'm not sure if that can be accommodated. It's gonna be one or the other, I think.
Understood.
So like, I would hate to, you know. He did all this work, we did all this work, we went down this road, and then we come back and say, okay, we're gonna go about face. We're gonna make a left here, and we have no more money.
Yeah.
But I could ask, so, you know what I'm saying, I just, if maybe allow me to ask, and then, you know,
Yeah, ask
I-
if it's a consideration, and yes, if not, then we have beautiful designs, and it's again up to the applicant at that time then to make modifications, but they have a blueprint to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Like-
mission revival and the colonial Spanish
Like, for instance,
Like-
like,
options,
Yeah.
plant 5 style seats, Spanish colonial,
yeah,
like, that has to have a,
yeah, look at that.
that has to have a patio, right? When you look at that particular style, that design, right, that's what makes it like, okay.
I mean,
what are we gonna do? We're
makes
gonna
it
cut the roof line down?
really nice.
Yeah.
So what are our options? Okay, we can select how many total?
No, we can move forward with all of these, right?
Okay.
You know, more I was looking for, you know, are these designs, you know, okay? Is there something even in the floor plan that doesn't work and you like to see a little bit different too? So it's not just about the exterior, it's also about
Yeah.
the floor plan.
Mhm.
You know, I like what they did with the floor plan. I think they try to fit.
They maximize everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did
yeah,
good.
yeah,
They
yeah.
did good.
That was going back to my question. So this is where I'm a little confused, okay? So Commissioner Hernandez shared that a resident of the city takes this as blueprints and then they go and talk to a designer
Yeah,
to make it fit, again,
Right.
make it fit to their area, right? So these are just specs and
Start.
recommendations, right? At the end of the day, me as an owner, me as a resident, I'm gonna design what fits properly into my square footage. And then have these as recommendations. So if I want a flat roof, I'm gonna get it. So
Right.
at this point, right, you know, I think it's obsolete to ask, you know, and again, I'm just thinking out loud, right? Obsolete to ask a architect to remake these small adjustments where a resident at the end of the day is gonna make the ultimate decision
right.
Yeah.
if that's how they're gonna wanna design it, right? I
Yeah.
think as a city and allowing the resident to have these as blueprints to move forward as
Yeah.
ideas, and going back to Commissioner Hernandez's point, I think it's also our responsibility, because I'm with you 1,000%, and we're not gonna say names. But I'm with you 1,000% that there are people that, the majority of us that build something like this, and when I say us, I mean the community, not myself, right? We're gonna build these for business, right? Or for La Suegra, right? Let's put it out there.
Yeah.
We want the suegra or whoever lives in our house to have an adequate home, right?
Mhm.
I'm assuming, but I don't wanna assume, right? That the city is also gonna be responsible, when I mean the city, I mean us, to make sure that what they said they're gonna build, they actually built. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think it's extremely important to have that within the guidelines or within the policies that we build, because there are people that will build something and then don't build what they say, right? And charge $3,000 for something that they should be charging $500, right? And so that's where I think we need to be mindful how we do this, because at the end of the day, that person is gonna design or build whatever they're gonna wanna build and use us as specs, but also as a city, I think we need to be responsible to confirm and reconfirm that what they say they're gonna build is within our policy. Does that make
Well,
sense?
no,
That's part
you
of
have to,
the
you have to build what's on the
process.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of
And
us
the-
heard of, it won't pass.
It won't, Lissandra won't pass it.
Yeah, they won't.
Yeah, no,
They
you
won't.
can't.
Shouldn't
You
pass.
can't deviate from a plan that's been
Right.
approved.
Well, so
It's gotta- you gotta build
so
it.
what I'm saying, like, so to the commissioner's point is that if we're gonna if we're gonna produce a product, we might as well bake the whole cake, right?
Correct.
And this is 100% constructible design plan that's already been approved, pre-approved by the city. So you can go, you can get this plan and you can go stake right here. And you're gonna build it and Alessandro will probably expedite this plan. You know, okay, this is our plan, yeah. Go in construction tomorrow. You know what I mean?
That's
And
it.
so they can take this plan, go construction tomorrow, right? And that's good. Now, if they want to be like, okay, well, I want to remove the patio, well, remove the patio, get a draftsman, remove the patio, that's your prerogative, right? But know that it's gonna be subject to plan approval, because he's got the responsibility that he has to do his job.
Yeah.
At this point, we bake a cake, it's been pre-approved, all the specs are done, all the structural specs are done, right? The city paid all this money. Let's do it. Cuts it's like what, saves you a quarter, 3/4 of its time. It just signs off, so let's say plan, yeah, okay, go to work.
I think that so looking at it at two ends, right? So it's always easier to give them everything, like you're saying, give them everything, give them all, and it's easier to take away than to add, right? But I think that when we're looking at it, it's seeing accessibility, right? When we do talk about, well, who can afford, well, whatever. And obviously we know that if your budget is smaller, you're not gonna put all of the stuff in there, you're gonna remove. But I just do wanna put it out there, like the reason for thinking more simple is so that somebody that already is limited on their budget doesn't have to pay another architect to remove so much. And
You're still gonna have to hire the architect.
they do, but it's easier for them, or maybe they get someone that will do it a little bit cheaper for them, where maybe at least the outside is already done because the measurements are similar to them. It's a little bit easier to adjust for them, but I think that's kind of like where, at least myself, the way I'm seeing it from that perspective. But definitely it's good to have both options, right? We want to make sure that we're putting out there that quality product, but making sure we're also considering that we don't want to create more barriers for folks that are already limited, especially as we move forward and we think about, well, who is the community, right? Who are the ones, even if they're not going to use it for business, maybe their family's just growing. And considering the current economic status and the current ongoings that are happening. But that's kind of where we're coming at, but it does make, I understand the other end of it, right? Making sure that we are putting that quality product out there, but also just really considering the simplicity of it and the reason why we don't, as a city, that we shouldn't be adding that additional barrier.
So my recommendation, considering all the comments have been made, if we have the budget, if we still have money in the budget, you know, to consider one elevation or one plan without a little porch or little patio, I would like to see that personally. Like,
For
as
the
you talked
smaller
about,
one or for the larger?
for the
one?
small one.
For the small one.
For
okay.
the small one. And then you brought up the comment or the question of the Spanish colonial with the little awning of the tiles. Can you go back to that one?
Oh.
Plan 4, 806 square foot. This one, you had a question about that, redesigning that. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Can you provide us your thoughts on that?
Without doing a big structural redesign, it's gonna be kind of what was mentioned, either like foam or the terracotta like cylinders.
Terracotta
probably
was
seen them.
foams is
Just
horrible.
cosmetic on the gable part of the structure.
Yeah, it's more cosmetic, cheaper
Yeah.
to do.
Okay. What do you guys think about that? Terracotta foam?
Yeah, I think,
Yes,
I prefer
terracotta,
that
I like terracotta.
the foam probably be more expensive to do.
It's nasty when it breaks up
Yeah,
and do the whole
actually
thing.
it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically it's supposed to be
Foam
cheaper,
tends to,
but
like-
in that case.
No, it's
it's
not, because it's, no, no se
The
usa,
chips,
it
the-
dies.
Yeah, the terracotta's
Yeah.
nicer.
you put a
it's
circle in
cleaner.
the middle and
But you still gotta
You have
wrap
to
it.
fabricate
Yeah,
it.
You gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta wrap the foam.
you
Just
don't
put
wrap
a
the foam.
Spanish tile on it.
But you still gotta.
Yeah,
put
right.
your-
Still French.
Yeah, as opposed to that area, yeah, the
You're
terracotta.
telling me you stuck it right over the foam without,
Put
without.
polybond. You put polybond.
What does it say?
Yeah, no, it's not-
And you
you
put a
know,
terracotta, you just
It's
put the
nice.
piece in.
Yeah.
You don't
Stick it to the
use,
wall.
you don't use wire on the foams.
So did you get the recommendations for that? Yeah, so we can
Yeah.
eliminate that
Yeah.
element in the front.
So we'll look
Put
at
'em
that,
on the
maybe,
bottom.
yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Because I just want to be
Put a
mindful
terracotta
that we capture those.
to a cylinder, you just put the adhesive. in,
Um,
stick it.
And let me make sure I got everything that I needed.
Cheaper than
and,
buying foam.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's not that expensive. The foam's not that expensive.
So another question that I have is regarding the question about the proper square footage that, so I know in previous commissioners meetings, we had conversation about, domain, right? And how each area is, has a, ranch or whatever. So Are there gonna be areas where this is just never gonna be approved compared to other areas? Cause in my mind, again, my mind is I'm thinking, you know, someone that has a, you know, a rancho or even the family that came over from across the street from Rancho Las Palmas, right? They wanted to build homes and, you know, I'm assuming that, you know, someone that has 4 or 5 acres of open land, this is a perfect, you know, option, right?
100 of these.
Exactly, 300 of these, you know, but like someone like me that lives at Tierra del Sol, that, you know, can I, you know, technically, not that I want to, right? My wife probably does, but I don't. Would that be something that I could build, right? In my, you know,
Do you have the square footage?
exactly, you know, that's my question, because I do know that there are gonna be people within those communities that are gonna think that way, right? That are not gonna necessarily think about the square footage, they're just gonna wanna make it fit, right? And so I'm assuming that everything is gonna come to the planning commission and the planning with the city to approve of those options. So are they gonna, I guess for my question, are there gonna be areas in the city that this is just never gonna happen compared to others? Or everybody's gonna be on a case by case basis?
Yeah, I mean, everything's gonna be on a case by case basis based on these plans, right? Obviously, your designer can, if they have a designer, they can work on the design based on the CAD files. I think part of it's gonna, we're gonna have to have better, like, public information about ADUs, because a lot of times people don't know what, like, if you had to go to the code and review this ordinance, it's kind of difficult, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have a lot of graphics that show, you know, what are your setbacks. So that's kind of like the next step we need to do, right? So our plan is to have a website where it's easy to understand what you can do for an ADU, right? Whether you use these plans or not. Because most people don't know what they can do. They probably don't know what they can do until they actually hire a designer that kind of understands this a little bit more. So what we want to do is make it easier, so maybe they don't have to depend entirely on a designer for everything.
Thank you, Director.
They can include those in the design, whatever options we offer.
The current code, and it goes back to whether people were gonna actually be able to even do this. The current code, what is the feet distance that's required from where the fence is at?
The setback?
4 feet,
Yeah.
Is it 4 feet? It's just 4 feet?
4 feet, yeah, used to be,
Yeah, it wasn't more?
well, we used to be able to enforce like 20-foot, 10-foot, like 10-foot setbacks in the past. But the state allows there to be 4 foot, right? So, yeah, so supersedes all local requirements, yeah. So even though our,
4 feet off the each side wall, right?
The wall.
So I
Setback in the
can,
back.
I can tuck this thing into a corner as long as I got 4 feet
good,
and build it out.
Yeah.
Build into my yard.
Can these be built attached to the actual home, like just like
Yeah.
like an expansion to it?
you could, yeah, it's just gonna require some customizing.
So-
to be
Okay.
able
So that
to-
was, there's no door.
So
correct?
if you,
Yeah.
if you
Yes.
do
So that
that,
was leading into my next question
If you do
about,
that,
because
you
you
don't
had
have to
mentioned
put
there's
the
a reason
solar.
why you focused on detached
yeah.
and not attached.
Yeah, just because,
200 amps.
and we've been looking at other cities, it's a little bit harder to do because there's so much customization that's
Mhm.
needed to make that work.
Yeah.
Do we see ADUs that come in, is it mostly detached or?
Mostly garage.
Yeah, so that's why we did focus on the garage conversion because it happened, so this is really gonna help from a design perspective too for the city.
Yeah.
Can the city share a number of how many of these requests typically come in calendar year? Or conversions of garages, just as an idea?
I don't know about garages, but last year for ADUs in general, it was 52.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And,
That's, yeah.
oh, it's gonna be a lot more this year.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
at least.
And then once we offer the floor plans, you're gonna.
Even
quadruple.
more.
oh, yeah, and it's probably gonna accelerate because you're gonna save that much more cost.
Where are they?
One of the things I didn't mention, planning commission, is that these ADU units, they'll count as affordable housing to the city.
Yeah, which is
So we count that to the state and we.
To our
tell them
ream
we
number?
pay
Oh,
for our-
okay.
Yeah, so it's.
So that's 7,883.
Yeah, pretty good. Remember that.
Like, so I feel just, man, we're already there. as far as this thing is what, 3/4 done?
Yeah, it's in plan check. Lozano's taking a look at it.
Yeah, it's
and,
3/4 done, right? I think we just carry out the vision, move forward, and then ultimately, they're gonna have to meet with a draftsman regardless, and if the draftsman wants to, they wanna remove this and that, then remove this and that, right? Like they can build, like you look at phase one, plan one, right? That facade or that little patio entry, you know, it can easily be removed. It doesn't take, you know, you don't need an additional plan to remove it, right? Obviously at that point, the designer just removes it from the elevation, right? And hey, it's no harm, no foul. Now, like, obviously, if we're gonna require patios or not require patios, then that's a different policy, right? That has to be addressed citywide, right? But now, as from what we're putting forward, I think that, hey, we have a design that works and that aesthetically pleasing, and go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because regardless, you know, they have to take this and customize it to their lot. Right? So they're still gonna have to pay, right? Somebody to do something.
But going back to the garage, that's the only one also, like if they're like the modifications in the front, I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
that's a little hard one.
Side door, French
Yeah.
doors or something.
Yeah, it would be great to
Yeah.
see another
Side door.
option.
Side door option.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. So far, it sounded like, we got direction on everything. I'm not sure if we have total consensus on the one issue regarding,
Terracotta or foam?
no, terracotta, we got that one.
The slope?
The slope, it sounded like there was general consensus around that, right? If we can get both designs and we can make it work, then we'll provide that.
Sure.
But
But we
the
want
other,
to stay within budget, so we want to be reasonable as
Mhm.
well, right? Is that the plan?
yeah. So the biggest thing I need to know is if we're gonna do patio option or just keep it as is, so.
I think we would go as is.
And then you'll need to take a vote. You're not approving it, but making a recommendation for how to proceed with in terms of design recommendations.
I'll make a recommendation as is.
So just to
Wait,
clarify.
With a couple modifications that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
I'll list those
So
if you
just
want
to
me to.
clarify, if
On
we
the-
go as is for the patio, there will be no option to someone say, I don't want the patio, like they have to have the patio, like yes or yes.
They would have to do what Vice Chair Hernandez mentioned, which is have their designer kind of remove that from.
Oh, okay,
the
but
design.
on our behalf, it has to have the patio.
Well, we're providing,
These designs.
Does-
For the design itself.
Okay, yeah, okay.
They're not required to have, so they submit it without it, we're gonna,
Okay,
so with the, yeah.
Cookie cutter, imagine like you're baking cookies and this is just a pattern for them to use, they don't have to use that pattern, but it's a pattern,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
then
just know that the
as is.
city designed, you know, the Cadillac per se,
Yeah.
right? And if you wanna buy the Honda, buy the Honda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you wanna add rims to it, add rims to it. Yeah.
all right,
I think we're on the same page now.
cool.
do you want to finish out the recommendations? So one of them was looking into the option of
The
the modern
garage.
design of having two designs if feasible.
Well, I think the garage also, the garage.
The garage with
The
the
side door or the
entry,
front door. Yeah, both options.
and then that one plan, kind of with the roof design with the terracotta maybe design.
Just have more detail on the gable part of it to give it a little more aesthetics, I guess.
Okay, and then for the option of the patio, I'm hearing more to leave it as is, but just want to make sure.
Yeah, we
Leave
leave
it as
leave it
is.
as is.
Okay.
I think it's nice. They could,
Yeah.
if they want to hire a graphic architect to change it, I mean,
They can.
they can do it on their own. But I think we had to, that's a nice option, I think, that we're offering.
Okay,
So,
And then-
so I get a little more clear. So all of these
yes.
would be yes, like all of these would be provided.
Mhm.
Okay.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
to suit everybody's,
Mhm.
you know.
But that's what.
Yeah,
that's what
budget.
Commissioners, like, what if we just had one without a patio, just one, I mean, the consulting group would just delete that from part, right?
So like
And
what's
It's gonna be
important is we
$20,000
want-
to leave
If
that.
we think about budget wise, Do we wanna add more style, like with a terracotta, or do we wanna see without patio? Like how many of, like, we're talking about how many adjustments can we really make, like what's more?
I would rather add more style.
I think we offer it the way it is, and then
Yeah,
if
and then
somebody
go
wants
from
to change it,
Mm.
they have that option.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Okay, yeah, so you will need to take a vote on it though.
Okay.
So it's not just direction.
I think you gave a
You give
He
you
gave
made a
it-
motion.
motion. I second the motion.
Hernandez,
And the garage conversion was what we were offering,
with the
the,
side,
the front door and
side
also
door.
the side door,
Mhm.
have that option, both options.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, Commissioner Arvizo,
Yes.
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez,
Yes, sir.
and Chair Gonzalez.
yes,
Okay. Motion approved. Great.
okay, thank you, Gabriel, for the presentation, also Mr.
Yeah,
Diaz.
good job.
Yeah.
This is great.
Good work.
Yeah.
They're
Thank
I
you
like-
for
a lot
your
of
feedback.
I like it, it's, I think it's a good option for our community.
If someone takes your design and builds it like on their own land, like as a primary home, is that plagiarism on your behalf or can they do that? So,
They can do that.
Yeah.
They can
'cause
use the
they'll-
plan, right?
They'll be downloading these from the website.
so it's not just exclusively for an ADU. So if I buy like my own lot, I can come and be like, hey, I want this house as my primary house.
It's on the internet.
Yeah,
so-
that's
That's brilliant, bro.
It's
Up for
so
grabs.
cool, right? But how
Typically what
amazing is
happens,
that?
the architect signing over those rights of those plans.
Okay.
And then you can
Yeah.
build a 501.
No, I just need a lot.
I just did the last.
You can hire,
That's
you can hire.
Nomás el lote, that's
That's
all.
actually needs a lot.
Yeah, I mean, some of like the 1,000 square foot, you could even see that as a primary unit.
Mhm,
That's right.
yeah, it's
And then you
nice.
can have the option of, the smaller one, the 500 on the back part of.
there.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Hey, so what's the stucco finish?
Yeah, that's pretty-
Smooth finish or what, where are we going?
That's an option, I think, it's, you can do a sand finish. or-
Yeah, it's up to the owner. if they
Yeah,
want
it's
to
up to
smooth
the-
it.
Yeah,
Sand finish, yeah.
I like smooth, but.
Finish.
I think we're micromanaging everything, I mean, just, we're, just giving public the option,
If you go smooth finish though, it's an extra $100,000.
exactly. Especially if you put the terracotta stuff on it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a lot more.
Oh, my word.
All right.
Chair, are you ready for I don't know, we still have informational?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
do.
then we got, let me, go over the rest of it. Thank you, Gabe, for the presentation. Okay, public, we're going on to the next item on the agenda, public hearing calendar, quasi judicial.
There are no items.
Going on to informational, development services department, future agenda.
Yeah, so, it sounds like, yeah. There's a. They haven't. The League of Cities, the Planning Commissioners Academy will be coming up. And it's gonna be at the Hilton in Long Beach, March 6th through 8th. So we do have a budget for Planning Commission to attend. So I would just recommend if you want to attend, let me know in advance because March 6th through the 8th. So let me know, the registration hasn't opened up yet, but a lot of times it gets sold out. So if you could let me know, that'd be great. I believe Commissioner Ramirez and Vice Chair Hernandez attended last year, so they could probably attest to the good information that's shared at the academy.
Can we, since we attended last year, can we attend also in March?
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
more,
I
just
think we
wait.
have it budgeted.
Pardon?
Just what?
I had to ask. Mindful, I'm mindful. It's a wonderful opportunity. If you have a chance, please speak to your employer, whoever you work with, and your families, because you really do learn lots and it really is beneficial as we make such decisions and have these conversations. It's really, really helpful. So,
Yes.
and you meet other people as well. Yeah, for the planning commissioners. Thank you.
And I believe Henry Castillo, our city attorney, does the Jeopardy again this year,
Oh, that's a wonderful session.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
the planning Jeopardy. Let's see.
Know that SB 11 is the answer to all of
Just a quick update. I don't know if I mentioned this in the past. We do have something called the Resident Engagement Academy. And so there's about 20 residents from the city of Coachella that are going through this academy to learn about how the municipal government functions. So far, we've had sessions on, our utilities, water and sewer. We did development services building, last week. We also had the city manager and economic development the first week. What else am I missing? Oh, public works and engineering. Yeah, so next week will be finance and public safety. Then the one after that will be community health and wellness. So after that, this group will graduate and we'll have gone through that first academy. So it was a pilot project, but it's been going pretty good. A lot of the residents that are participating in it ask excellent questions and demand a lot from the city. So a lot of them have also asked about potentially being a planning commissioner. So
That's amazing.
it's great.
Engagement.
How
Maybe
many
we should,
people
combine it.
are enrolled?
25? Yeah, and we had 50 applicants. And so based on the success so far, I think it's going to be something that we try to do every year.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job.
We should have them attend a meeting.
Yeah.
They want to be commissioner, just get a sense of what it's all about,
They might not
Extra
want-
North.
they might not want to be commissioner, once they attend the meeting.
Yeah, come tell us.
We can just- Can't even get some commissioners.
Going back to March, you said it was Long Beach, right? It's
In Long Beach, yeah.
Beach.
Just a couple of things. I know the city council had requested that we bring back a sidewalk vendor ordinance to the planning commission, and I'm working to bring that back for the next meeting. So we might do that as a study session. Originally, we were just going to take that sidewalk vendor ordinance to city council, but they recommended the planning commission review that. Because of that, we'll probably postpone the short-term rental study session until December. But just want to give you some of those updates. And then we're going to also, I know Commissioner Arvizo, you had brought up the small business protections or avoiding displacement. So we'll also have that too in December.
So
Thank
that
you.
hasn't been scheduled just yet, right?
So we're working on getting the sidewalk vendor ordinance to plan commission for the next meeting. So
Sorry.
we're doing a lot of research on it as a study session. Yeah, it's not a decision yet on the ordinance.
Are we going into like holiday mode anytime soon?
That's what I was gonna ask too. Because the next session here says via teleconference, is that correct? Did I read this correctly or?
So we will have the meeting on the 15th, and so that'll be the last one for November.
Mhm.
And then December, we will have the December 6th meeting.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I think the December 20th meeting ends up being canceled because I think then the
Holiday.
city offices end up being closed by that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one meeting, we have two meetings left, right, to close
Two
out the
meetings
year.
left.
And what are we looking at come 24? First week of
It would be first week of January on the 3rd.
third.
I won't be here. I'm just gonna say it out loud. I'm not here.
And that's good for us to know too. If we're not gonna have quorum, it's good
I
to know.
won't be here as well. I
Yeah.
already know.
Um,
So we
yeah.
won't have quorum.
So you have two.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, right now you will have quorum still.
Wait,
You're talking about
1, 2,
January
3,
3rd?
4.
January 3rd, I won't be here.
I won't be here either.
Kids out.
So.
There's 4.
anyone
Unless
else?
you need me to make arrangements, I'll talk to Rosemary Gabriel. If she says anything, I'll let her call you.
Yeah.
You could put a sign outside your house, bro. Say that you have a meeting session, people can come to your house and watch you.
I mean, there's still a lot of time before then, so if something else changes for someone else, at least right now, there would still be either. way.
Yeah, there'll be 4.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gabe.
Thank
So
you.
so the 15th one in person?
Yes,
Okay.
in person, yeah.
In this
So-
location.
In this location, and then we will move back to the other location after the new year. So,
Okay, cool.
And then we have State of the City tomorrow for Coachella,
That is.
correct.
In the morning, right?
Yeah.
8:00. Yeah.
8:00.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Perez. Going on to the next item on the agenda. We have a motion for adjournment.
I got a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Need a roll call on it?
Beautiful.
Back to agenda item.
Okay, who is the motion? Ramirez? And then second by Hernandez,
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arvizo,
Yes.
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez.
Sure.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion
thank you,
passes.
commissioners.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you for being with us, Oscar.